Hello everyone. So this video is about the ViewRidge database ERD diagram, which we have discussed in our week one. So here you can see here the question number two for the lab one. I have asked you to identify how many entities we have, how many primary keys we have for each of the entities, what are the foreign keys and relationships. So first of all, we said the entities are the tables. So how many tables are there? You can only identify that, but I will give you one example here. So you can see here, the customer here is an entity. This is one entity here. So you have to mention in your exercise how many entities you have. For each entity or table we have consists of a unique ID, which is not now, we call it as a primary key. So which is here you can see as a key, it called as a PK. So you have to identify the primary key. The second here is that we said that we have another table here because we are saying that there is a relationship between customer and transaction, right? How it is because the view rich diagram or database diagram is mainly explaining to you about the e-commerce website which sell a piece of art by an artist. It can be posting, it can be frames, it can be painting, it can be books, and so on. Okay, the number of categories of a product or work they are selling. They name it as a work. Okay, so here we can read about this entire diagram. So we can say that one customer, so customer will purchase a work, and this work as he's purchasing it, he will generate certain transaction, right? And that specific work which we have bought as a customer consists, it's belong to an artist. So what is this table is about? So this is something I will mention in a while. So there is a relation between artist and customer, but this is something else and some other entity which we name it later on. So now let's look at a relationship here. So as we said that all the entities here, a connection between them, a link between them, a relationship between them. So what are these relationships are? So if you go back to your exercise, so you can find it here that we have mentioned to include your relationship also. So here, let's look at the first relationship. We always read a relationship from left to right or right to left, as you want. You can switch between how it will be. It will be vice versa. So let's say I'm reading from left to right. So let's say here we have two symbols are given. But I have mentioned that I will explain this one later on. We'll look at the left one here. So left one is something vertical line, which means it is one. And here we have something called as a circle. Basically, this circle is called as a optional. And if you find something as vertical, too vertical, which means it is mandatory. We call them as a cardinalities. I will explain them later on when we move to ERD diagram. So in case if you are curious about what are these symbols are, the circle means it's an optional and two vertical line means it's mandatory. Then we look at the other one. So we said it's something like this, like a crowfoot, which means it's many. So let's look at the relationship between customer and transaction. One customer will purchase or have how many transactions? One transaction. One customer can have multiple transactions. We are reading from left to right. So which means the answer should be one and here should be many. Okay. Then we have something here right to left now. One transaction is belong to one customer. Can one transaction belong to multiple customers, which is not possible, right? But can a multiple transaction belong to one customer? Yes. So answer here will be one to many. Now we have another one. Let's look at transaction to work. Here we have one-to-many relationship as well. We have three type of relation: one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So as it is one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, so we'll read it as a one-to-many. Okay, we'll read from left to right to left now. So one work, let's say one work is belong to one transaction, which means that one work may have one purchase, one payment or one order, or one can have multiple as well. Because maybe that specific work have number of copies. How we know it have number of copies? Based on the attribute we can see here as well. It is a hint for us. Now this is left to right. Now we can say that, so here we will have one, two, many. Now let's look at left to right. So left to right, if you read it, one transaction is belong to one work. Can one transaction belong to multiple work? There is possibility, but here we are saying that that we are selling one order can have only one work belong to it, because here we are considering a number of copies. So each of the work will be unique, but it cannot have one work can have only one record in our order. So if you're buying something, it consists of number of units. Let's say you have bought one painting, two paintings belong to one artist in the same painting. So you will just add quantity as two rather than adding one more transaction here in your invoice. Now here we have another one, work to artist. So it is also one to many. So one artist can have one work, one artist can have many work. Because we are saying that one artist can have one painting or he can have two paintings, right? Or maybe multiple ones. So it is one to many here. This one artist or one work can have one artist. Can one work can have multiple artists? Not possible. But in this case, we are saying that there is not possible, but there can be a scenarios where if we are talking about the book, then there are chances that one work can have multiple artists here. But as per this scenario, we have only one, two, one only. So one, it can only many artists can have, many work can have one artist. Okay. Now, if we look at customer to artist, which is this one, customer artist end. So the relationship between artist and customer is many to many. What does it mean? It means that one customer can admire one artist. Maybe he will admire one customer can admire multiple artists, right? So it is many in that corner. Now let's look at left to right to left. One artist will be admired by one customer, right? Or one artist will be admired by many artists. So relationship become many to many. So whenever we have a relation many to many, we have to create another entity or a new entity, call it as associative entity or junction entity or intersection entity. Okay, there are a number of terminology you will find, but for me, I will use associative entity. Associative entity, junction, or intersection, but I prefer to call it as a associative. Okay, you will find multiple terminologies online. So this is so entity called as customer artist int is an associative entity, which means what type of attributes we have to include here. The attributes here will be a foreign key. When we saying the foreign key means that whenever we have a relationship between two entities, the primary key in the first one will become a foreign key in the second one. So in junction table, we will take only foreign keys. We can have primary key as well, but here mostly we inherit the primary key as a foreign key. So we have inherit from the customer as a link is between customer to artist. The primary key, customer ID, will become a foreign key, which is FK, and artist ID, which is primary key, will become foreign key in a customer artist end. So, what is the main aim of foreign keys are to create a link between two entities or three entities. Okay, this is something we will discuss as we move to ERD diagrams. So, this is an all overall explanation of the ERD diagrams. So, feel free to ask me if you are still struggling with to understand what are these. So, I have already have given you one more information, which is optional and mandatory, which we will discuss further later on in our course. Thank you.